Welcome to the Crafty Mini, and in this episode I'm going to do a bit of a love letter to Grandfather Nurgle himself, Lord of Decay. Now, I've dabbled with some of the Death Guard and things in the past. I'll put them up on my community feed, go check them out if you want. You'll see a few of them here. Mainly taking the kits, distending the bellies, having bits of flesh come out, and really sort of trying to hone in on that grimdark aesthetic. Now, some of the viewers will know, a few weeks ago we did a grimdark style video, as it's an aesthetic sort of choice of painting that I've really been enjoying recently. And this one you see here on the screen, the Plague Doctor, was a painting experience that I really enjoyed, and one of the few miniatures I'm actually happy with the paint job, which for those who know me in real life knows that that's extremely rare that I feel like that about a miniature. The idea of this video is to go in depth and look at, why is it I'm starting to like Nurgle a bit more. Now, I've been a fan of 40k for years. I mean, I remember the old 2nd edition. That's when I first got into it. But I was always an Imperial Guard player, because I always liked the idea of a standard human just given a lasgun and a helmet and having to, march on the front line against these horrific monsters, creatures, demons and aliens and things. But recently, as I've been getting into more of the lore, because I sort of stopped playing around 5th edition. I dabbled in a few of the later editions, but I've not really kept up with it. But recently I've been dabbling into the lore a bit more on the audiobooks and stuff, and I've really started to get this appreciation and love of Nurgle. So it's something I want to get into in this video. So in the background you're going to see me paint this custom Kitabshed Blightlord, and here we go. So if you imagine, going back to when I was an original Guards player, and again it's that idea of just a normal human being being put up against these crazy odds in this forever chaotic, war-ridden universe. But you imagine, you're facing entities and beings so ancient and powerful that they literally defy comprehension. They're lurking in the darkest corners of space. The essence of cosmic horror is the insignificance of humanity in the face of these entities. And to be fair, it's not just Nurgle. So for me, if you look at Lovecraftian influences that are sort of evident in the monsters and things in the 40k universe, you've got the Tyranids. So, a race of insatiable hunger, alien motives that we do not understand, and they're coming from outside of our system, which is terrifying in itself. I mean, I can't remember where I read it. If anyone knows where they can cite this, please let me know. But I remember reading somewhere that High Fleet Kraken, someone had said this could just be a reconnaissance force. This isn't the main invasion of our system, which I love that. I think that's just a fascinating and terrifying prospect. Necrons, for example. So they're very cold and calculating, ancient robotic beings. And the fact that they're older than humanity and have been there since, was it the Shattering? Or the fall of the original gods and things. I just find that evokes that sense of existential dread that you see in a lot of cosmic horror. And then the Chaos Gods, of course, themselves. Pure malevolence, corruption, very similar to the old Eldritch deities in Lovecraft's mythos. And I think that's a big part of it. So originally as a player, when I was back in my teens and early 20s, then it was a cool idea of having, it's space dudes with guns killing aliens, that's all, But I think 40k has that. While it doesn't always come to the surface and show itself because of, it has to be an all-encompassing, it is just, it's a war game. But I love the fact that there's that underpinning of this terror and these awe-inspiring cosmic horrors. And the lore and stories within the universe, you'll get these gems that I think absolutely they captivate players and fans of the 40k itself, with it, the very dark, foreboding themes. And I think that it's because it reminds us of our fragile existence in the universe, and the fact that there could be unimaginable terrors out there. Okay, so 2 quotes that I think encompass the 40k universe and that sort of narrative, both from a perspective you imagine from like a normal human on a planet that's within the Imperium, and they're looking up at the stars. So the first one is Arthur C. Clarke. I can never look now at the Milky Way without wondering from which of those banked clouds of stars the emissaries are coming. I do not think we will have to wait for long. And the second quote from H.P. Lovecraft. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. Now for me, those two quotes, and as I've already mentioned, the cosmic horror aspect, I think it's very intertwined with the 40k universe, and it's something I love seeing explored in people's kit bashes, and when people paint things up and twist these monsters even more than they already are. But for me, as I mentioned at the start of the video, it's Nurgle. So let's get into it. Nurgle is the vile chaos god of disease, decay and entropy. As the lord of pestilence, he is the inventor of torments, the father of plagues and the giver of corruption. He delights in spreading his loving touch of pestilence to mortals, spawning new plagues to give as gifts to the living. Okay, so one of the main reasons I'm drawn to Nurgle is there's a very strong connection to the horror sort of side of Warhammer 40k. The idea of a deity embodying sort of disease and rot, I think gives a really nice sense of dread to the lore and the story of the 40k universe. It can sometimes come over in the tabletop battlefield as well, but for me in particular, it's more just the background and the history of everything. This is of all the chaos gods, this is the one that I'm like, yeah, it's absolutely gross, it's disgusting and whatnot. But it's not just about the horror, and I think Nurgle's lore in particular is one of the few that has a lot of Lovecraftian themes. Very reminiscent of the cosmic horror, the monstrous entities beyond our comprehension. And when in the books and things, when you see, one of the ones that comes immediately to head is the Flight of the Eisenstein, which is I listened to that a couple of months back. It's one of my favourite 40k novels, it must be said. But when you see them fighting off the Nurgle followers and the corrupted Space Marines and other things on the ship, all of those Nurgle's followers, they're not just battling the physical, but there's this sort of existential terror and the unknown sort of working behind everything, much like in Lovecraft and things like that. The grotesque designs of Nurgle's demons, the followers that he has, they all enhance this connection, for me anyway, to Lovecraftian monsters, which again, it's that thing of evoking a sense of unease and the fascination in the otherworldly. So for example, like a Chaos Spawn, quite a simple twisted creature, but that would not look out of place as, say, like it's very similar to Shoggoth from Lovecraft, and it's those sort of things that linking in and out that I find it absolutely fascinating. And I understand it's a game, and the lore's got to be more all-encompassing and to get to catch a wide an audience as possible. But I'd love to see like a really deep graphic horror on something Nurgle chaos related. I mean, if you look at warp storms, for example, these are twisted. It's almost like it's its own entity, twisted, and these things can encompass and shut off entire planets or systems. And through the warp, this is where chaos sort of bleeds out. And it's got this sort of otherworldly, I think of things like Azathoth from Lovecraft and stuff like that, and it's this otherworldly entity that it's beyond our mortal comprehension. You never understand it. You're more than likely going to go mad just looking at it, let alone trying travel through it. And it's that link of cosmic horror that I like in the 40k universe, and it's why I sort of lean more towards Nurgle now. Also, within Nurgle itself and the followers, there seems to be a sense of almost community and acceptance, which is going to sound really strange, but like it's part of a big caring family. They're all in this together, whether they like it or not, and therefore will continue to look after each other. It's also one of the things I love about Nurgle, the fact he's called Grandfather Nurgle. You imagine this old wizened man who sits you on his knee and gives you some interesting advice and can help you through anything. And it's this god of disease and corruption. There's also, which I quite like, there's a little bit of light-heartedness and humour, which can be found in some of the kit bashes and even just on the base miniatures that you can get. Like you've got these cute little, and they are cute despite being absolutely disgusting, these little Nurglings on some of the miniatures, these cheeky little faces, and there's, you know, they're on top of people's shoulders and things, and it's quite I like the juxtaposition between that sort of humour and the grotesque. I think it works quite well at times, and it's that aesthetics of Nurgle with all its grotesque sort of charm, but they do have a unique appeal that celebrates imperfections and uniqueness. A lot of players that I've met, or fellow painters who really, you know, go into town on that sort of grimdark aesthetic on the Nurgle stuff, or even the other side of it with the quite high contrasted colours and the humour with the little Nurglings running around on the model and stuff. I just find it absolutely fascinating. It's a really interesting, and I would argue unique sort of group and niche within the 40k universe. A lot like orcs and orcs players. So it's that sort of thing. It's its own little niche, which I like. I mean, you also got the gameplay side of it. You know, Nurgle armies are renowned for being incredibly durable, tough, with a lot of powerful abilities, and a force to be reckoned with. But also within itself, that aesthetic, as mentioned before, it's just brilliant. I think, you know, because you've got that grotesque, strangely endearing in a weird way, the Plague Marines, but they are iconic to Nurgle and Nurgle rot. I mean, a Chaos Marine is a Chaos Marine, but when you look at the ones that are actually directly attached to a particular Chaos God, it's a very unique aesthetic. And with Nurgle as well, I think there's a lot you can do kit bashing wise and giving it a really distinctive look that sets it apart from other factions. But yeah, so it's a bit of a strange one. I'm really getting into Nurgle at the moment and enjoying painting and kit bashing these things. I came up with a really cool idea a few weeks ago that you've got this, so Grandfather Nurgle, but what about Mother Nurgle? And then I was playing with the idea of that and, you know, writing stuff down, sketching some stuff, and then I came up with the idea of, well, what about, so taking the Sisters of Battle miniature, like a Mother Superior type figure, you know, that very holy, pure visage, and then corrupting it and doing the things like I've done on the miniatures that you see in the background, the ones you'll see at the end of this video, so like with the distended bellies and, you know, bits of flesh pulsing out of the armour. I mean, you can even go really grotesque and have like Nurgling suckling and all this sort of stuff. It's quite when you get into it, it's a really weird cycle of just the dark, grotesque and macabre, which I personally lean more to anyway in my painting style, which I've mentioned in other videos. But I think it's something that's just lost a little bit in 40k. But I don't know, that could just be me. But we'll slap up the shots now of the finished miniature sort of painted up, and with the test pieces that I've got alongside it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Who's your favourite faction and why? Is there something to this? You know, the fact that it's this last bastion of, for me, grimdark in the 40k universe. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you everyone for the support over the last few weeks especially. But the channel's about to turn 1 year old, so we're going to have a giveaway, so keep tuned for that. Look at the community posts and I'll mention it in an upcoming video. But yeah, thank you very much guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.